Explore the unspoken chronicles of yesteryears. Experience the collision of mighty civilizations. Unearth the feuds that crafted empires. Traverse with us through the annals of history seen from two vantage points. In a world where every narrative has two outlooks, welcome to Two Perspective Global Conflicts Explained, where history is told. Today we will be picking up where we left off in our last video, exploring the challenges and triumphs of Alexander the Great's conquests, how these events helped shape his destiny. As a young boy, Alexander was tutored by Aristotle, the great philosopher, and he inherited a powerful kingdom from his father, Philip II of Macedon. Now he stands on the precipice of untold conquests, his gaze fixed firmly on the horizon. The world as he knows it is about to change forever. The year 332 BCE marked a turning point in Alexander's life with the siege of Tyre. As a jewel in the crown of the Mediterranean, Tyre commanded a strategic position, controlling vital maritime trade routes. Alexander, fully cognizant of this, set his sights on the island city, aiming to bring it under his dominion. The first order of business was to isolate Tyre, a feat accomplished by implementing a naval blockade. This blockade was crucial in cutting off the city's lifeblood, supplies and reinforcements from the sea. As the siege wore on, the effects of the blockade became increasingly evident, with Tyre's resistance gradually weakening. However, the blockade was only part of Alexander's master plan. Given Tyre's island status, a direct assault was impossible. So, in a display of strategic brilliance and sheer determination, Alexander ordered the construction of a causeway, a mammoth task that involved the building of a land bridge to connect the mainland to Tyre, allowing his troops to advance onto the city. The causeway's construction was a feat of engineering that spoke volumes about Alexander's resourcefulness. Despite facing numerous challenges, including attacks from the Tyrian navy and a lack of materials, Alexander's men persevered, completing the causeway and setting the last embers of resistance at Alexander's mercy. With the causeway completed, Alexander launched a full-scale assault on Tyre's formidable walls. Despite the city's valiant defense, the relentless Macedonian forces, spurred on by their leader's greatness, breached the walls. After 7 long months of siege, Tyre finally fell to Alexander. The fall of Tyre marked a significant victory for Alexander. It was a testament to his strategic genius and unyielding resolve. With Tyre under his control, Alexander had not only secured a critical strategic advantage, but also let the rest of the world know that he is a force to be reckoned with, a leader capable of achieving the impossible. This victory was but a prelude to the remarkable conquests that lay ahead for Alexander's extraordinary journey. Following Tyre, Alexander turned his attention to Egypt. The land of pyramids and pharaohs presented a different challenge, one that required not only military might, but also political acumen. After winning the battle against Persian King Darius III at Issus in 333 BCE, Alexander was welcomed by the Egyptians as a liberator that saved them from the brutal Persian reign. Alexander, ever the strategist, knew he had to win the hearts and minds of the Egyptian people in order to truly rule. So he did something extraordinary. He had himself crowned as the pharaoh, the living god-king of Egypt, at the ever-important religious city of Memphis, thus solidifying his rule and earning the approval of the locals. But Alexander's ambitions went beyond mere conquest. He envisioned a city that would serve as a beacon of culture and trade, a city that would bear his name. And so on the shores of the Mediterranean, he founded Alexandria. Planned with Greek precision, this city was destined to become one of the greatest centers of learning and commerce in the ancient world. Yet, the desert called to Alexander. Intrigued by the mysteries of the Egyptian culture and its ancient gods, he embarked on a daring expedition into the desert. His destination was the Siwa Oasis, home to the Oracle of Amun. It was here that Alexander sought divine confirmation of his status as pharaoh and his destiny as a world conqueror. The oracle's response, though lost to history, emboldened Alexander and reaffirmed his divine right to rule. With Egypt under his control, Alexander's power grew exponentially. The prosperity of Egypt filled his coffers, and the strategic location of Alexandria gave him a foothold on the Mediterranean. This wasn't just a military victory, it was a masterstroke of political maneuvering and city planning. As he left Egypt, he carried with him the wealth of a nation, the loyalty of its people, and the confidence of a man who had the gods on his side. The world was yet to witness the full might of Alexander the Great. His next move would take him to the heart of the Persian Empire, to a place called Gaugamela. The Battle of Gaugamela was a turning point in the Persian War. Alexander the Great, the audacious Macedonian king, was about to face Darius III, the Persian emperor, in a battle that would go down in the annals of history. Alexander's tactical innovation was key to his success at Gaugamela. He understood that the Persian army, while vast in numbers, was not as flexible or as well coordinated as his own. He exploited this weakness, using his smaller but more agile force to outmaneuver the Persian ranks. The Macedonian king then employed a strategy known as the feigned retreat. His cavalry, appearing to flee in defeat, lured the Persian forces out of their tightly packed formation. This created gaps and vulnerabilities in the Persian lines, which Alexander was quick to seize upon. This was followed by the hammer and anvil strategy. The Macedonian infantry acted as the anvil, holding the Persian forces in place. Meanwhile, the Macedonian cavalry, led by Alexander himself, descended upon the Persians like a hammer, encircling and routing them. This tactic was brutal and effective, causing chaos and confusion in the Persian ranks. The Battle of Gaugamela was a decisive victory for Alexander. He had not only defeated the Persian emperor, but had also secured control over Mesopotamia. This marked the end of Persian resistance and the beginning of a new era of Greek dominance in the region. But what made this victory even more remarkable was the fact that Alexander's army was vastly outnumbered. Yet through innovative tactics, unyielding determination, and the audacious leadership of Alexander, they emerged victorious. The Battle of Gaugamela marked the end of Persian resistance and the beginning of Alexander's control over Mesopotamia. It was a testament to Alexander's military genius and his ability to lead and inspire his men. This battle, like so many others, helped to forge his legacy as one of history's greatest conquerors. Alexander's next target was the eastern provinces of Persia. In the years 328 to 327 BCE, Alexander the Great turned his attention to the east. This was a region dominated by local tribes, each with their own customs, traditions, and ways of warfare. Alexander had to adapt to a new kind of enemy, one that did not fight in formalized battles but rather relied on guerrilla tactics and the element of surprise. The process of subjugating these tribes was a strategic dance. First, Alexander would send in scouts to learn about the local terrain and people. Then he would make his move, often under the cover of darkness, to catch the enemy off guard. But conquering these tribes was not just about military might. Alexander also had to win over the hearts and minds of the people. He did this by respecting local customs, integrating them into his army, and even marrying local women. This strategy of infiltration and subjugation allowed Alexander to gradually extend his influence over the eastern provinces. But the eastern provinces were not an easy target. The locals knew their terrain well and used it to their advantage, launching surprise attacks and then disappearing into the hills. Alexander had to adapt. He adopted guerrilla tactics, using small, mobile units that could respond quickly to these sporadic attacks. He also made use of local knowledge, recruiting tribesmen into his ranks who knew the land and the enemy. Despite these challenges, Alexander was successful in his conquest. He established garrisons throughout the eastern provinces, fortified strongholds that would serve as a bulwark against any potential rebellions. These garrisons were not just military outposts, but also centers of trade and culture, spreading Hellenistic influence throughout the region. The conquest of Persia's eastern provinces was a testament to Alexander's strategic genius and adaptability. It demonstrated his ability to learn from his enemies, to adapt his tactics to new challenges, and to build alliances with those he conquered. It was these qualities that allowed him to conquer such a vast territory, from Greece to Egypt to Persia and beyond. The eastern provinces added to the vast territories under Alexander's control. The crossing of the Hindu Kush was a testament to Alexander's strategic brilliance. This mountain range, a formidable barrier between the Persian Empire and the Indian subcontinent, posed a challenge even for the most experienced armies. The rugged and treacherous terrain was not to be underestimated, but Alexander, with his exceptional military acumen, managed to steer his army through. Securing supply lines was a crucial aspect of this mission. The army had to be constantly provisioned and reinforced, especially in such a harsh environment. Alexander, displaying his foresight and meticulous planning, orchestrated a network of supply lines that ensured his troops were never left wanting. Yet, the success of this endeavor was not solely due to military strategy. Diplomatic alliances played a key role. Alexander forged relationships with local rulers, gaining their support and cooperation, which proved invaluable in navigating this foreign landscape. But perhaps the most significant aspect of this crossing was its psychological impact. This feat was more than a physical journey. It was a statement of intent, a demonstration of Alexander's indomitable will and limitless ambition. The sight of his army, undeterred by the towering mountains, sent a clear message to his enemies. There was no obstacle too great, no barrier too daunting for Alexander the Great. The crossing of the Hindu Kush was a symbolic victory for Alexander, boosting his army's morale. It was a testament to his leadership, his determination, and the unyielding spirit of his men. Despite his victories, Alexander's journey was not without difficulties. The 6-year period from 332 to 326 BCE was a testament to his resilience in the face of adversity and his ability to adapt and overcome. One of the most significant challenges Alexander faced was the logistics of supplying his army in remote territories. He was operating in unfamiliar lands, far from his base in Macedonia, and ensuring his troops were well-fed and well-armed was a constant struggle. Resistance from locals was another major hurdle. Alexander found himself dealing with guerrilla warfare, a form of combat he had not encountered in his earlier campaigns. These hit-and-run tactics, often employed by smaller, more mobile forces, proved a persistent thorn in his side. Diplomatic struggles also posed a significant challenge for Alexander. He was navigating a complex web of relationships with neighboring powers, many of whom were suspicious of his intentions. The tensions often boiled over into outright conflict, forcing Alexander to divert resources away from his primary objective. Even within his own ranks, Alexander faced difficulties. There were instances of mutiny among his troops, requiring him to manage dissent and maintain morale in an increasingly stretched and weary army. Despite these challenges, Alexander's middle life was also marked by significant successes. His military victories, such as the siege of Tyre and the conquest of Egypt, expanded his empire and elevated his status as a world leader. His strategic innovations, such as the use of feigned retreat at Gaugamela, showcased his tactical genius and contributed to his string of victories. Moreover, Alexander's period of rule saw the spread of Hellenistic culture throughout his conquered territories, a testament to his influence and the lasting impact of his reign. Perhaps most importantly, Alexander's leadership and charisma inspired a strong sense of loyalty among his troops. Despite the hardships they faced, his men were willing to follow him to the ends of the earth. Alexander's middle life was a mix of triumphs and trials, shaping him into the great leader history remembers. Alexander's life of conquest was a turning point, setting the stage for his future endeavors. His strategic genius, charismatic leadership, and innovative strategies not only expanded the empire but also sowed the seeds of Hellenistic culture. Yet as we venture forward, we'll explore the tensions his conquests sparked, shaping the course of history. Thank you for joining us today. This is Two Perspectives Global Conflicts Explained. Signing off.